Greetings, humans. Zbot4096 here, reviewing Demolition Man on 4K UHD disc, released this week on December 17th. And just look at this amazing packaging. It's just absolutely fantastic. The disc is in there in a regular case. Disc and amazing little postcardy things that fall out of your hands in a nice way, and a poster, and a book, and 3 seashells, and graffiti, all of which will become relevant momentarily. Now, we recall seeing this film in theaters when it first came out in 1993, and it left a relatively mediocre impression at the time. Now, on viewing this disc, where did it go in this pile of things? This disc, this week, we were instead pleasantly surprised to see this defrosted casserole quite enjoyable in these modern times. Now, let's get a serving spoon in there and portion it out a bit. First up, our characterization of this as a frozen casserole. A casserole is a human food dish combining several separate pre-made food types into a single large ceramic vessel, which is then baked together and served. It is almost never finished and instead lingers on as leftovers either for immediate consumption or held in deep freeze for use later. Now, this film, Demolition Man, is exactly that. At a high level, it's composed of 80s action, procedural science fiction, and topical satire. Released in 1993, it posits a dip into a crime-ridden dystopia by 1996, which leads to a bifurcated faux utopia by 2032. Now, much of this film appears to borrow entire components from other films. For example, 1987's The Running Man has a similar setup, where Arnold Schwarzenegger's action hero is a cop in a dystopian future who is unfairly imprisoned for his actions and is offered a second chance under science fiction circumstances. Now, in this film, we replace Arnold with fellow muscly hero Sylvester Stallone as defrosted LA cop with a penchant for collateral damage, hence the Demolition Man nickname. And he plays a character named John Spartan. We put him up against an unstoppable enhanced nemesis, Simon Phoenix, sporting a big personality, basically Terminator with the flair of Joker. And the set design, future depiction, and this sort of ragamuffin cluster of underground have-nots who convince protagonists to join them from all of these bits are from Total Recall, and the topical in-joke commentary on 80s culture from the Back to the Future series, and our casserole is ready to bake, eat, freeze, reheat, and repeat. Now, much of this we remembered from the first time around, but much like Stallone's character in the film, waking up in 2032, we are also reactivating this 1993 time capsule in 2024 and experiencing it with fresh eyes and context. Now, there's a fair amount of delight in this experience. One is that Wesley Snipes is absolutely enjoying himself immensely, and his zany glee is contagious. Much like General Zod in the original Superman films, he just pops off the screen and helps the film stay breezy despite the fact that he is killing people, and one in a particularly macabre way. Now, you do believe he is capable of being an unstoppable villain and a reasonable match for Rocky and Rambo, masked here as John Spartan in this film. Now, Snipes truly delivers as an action lead. His kicks and moves are sharp and defined, better than that even, and radiate power. His sidekicks particularly stand out, holding position after discharging tremendous force, reminiscent of Jean-Claude Van Damme's sidekicks in 1988's Bloodsport. Yes, you remember that. And then there's the writing and performances drawn from Sandra Bullock and Benjamin Bratt that bring the earnestness of the otherwise ignorant elites to life. Now, at first blush, first-time writer Peter Lenkoff and first-time director Marco Brambilla paint a farce. For example, with a popular fast food restaurant becoming a vaunted gourmet venue, and Bullock's character getting 1980s action movie catchphrases wrong in exactly the way to make a silly yet still funny joke. It's a bit of Idiocracy meets Logan's Run in that regard. But after some initiation, we see these goofy elites genuinely reaching out, adapting, and empathizing with the have-nots. And John Spartan himself, which gives the story more momentum and audience connection, which is a bit more like Rosewood and Taggart coming around to back up Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop. Now, with those pieces in place, the film even manages to eke out its own unique identity, with hilariously robotic and tongue-in-cheek future common phrases like enhance your calm. We particularly enjoyed that one. And the about fracking time replacement of toilet paper. Oh, we mean, come on, humans. You're not doing much to offset the primate smearing feces around stereotype. But, getting back to the point, replacing toilet paper with the three seashells approach is great. Now, how humans in 1993 learned about the three seashells approach is unclear, but thankfully, they don't explain it in the film, and our secret is safe. Now, unfortunately, the fresh viewing of the film also exposes some freezer burn on this casserole. Now, one is that Phoenix's theme in the soundtrack of the film is a kind of hip-hop instrumental riff, which cannot help but land as somewhat stereotypical of black culture. This on-the-nose type of connection may have been commonplace in the 80s and 90s, but it is precisely the fish-out-of-water cringe moment that the film itself aims to satirize. Now, another aspect that ages poorly is the story trope of physical constraint in romantic courtship. This again appears frequently in human films until about the 2000s as an acceptable way for one gender to court the other. But it is on its face highly contradictory, disruptive of the intended emotional connection, and just uncomfortable to watch for galactizans around the Milky Way. Now, much like that one scene in Blade Runner when Deckard pushes Rachel against the wall in his apartment, the rest of the galaxy will likely prefer to have a version that does not have this kind of behavior dramatized as a kind of primitive courtship ritual validated in some way. And Spartan does it twice in the film, unfortunately proving the bad guy's point about him being a Neanderthal. Now, as for the disc itself, the HDR and its associated improved color gamut provide a strong benefit over muddy previous versions. And also, the fact that this film was shot on film means that the film dramatically benefits from the resolution jump into 4K. This isn't always evident, since the film stock used shows considerable grain in low light scenes. But brightly shot daylight scenes truly stand out to give a vivid picture of San Angeles in 2032. Furthermore, there is in fact a new Atmos track created for this release, which is a nice bonus when it happens, especially when a boutique publisher is pressing the disc under license, as is the case here with Arrow Video. This spatial audio track really brings the underworld to life, and is particularly immersive in the cryogenic facility with all the machines and laser systems going on around you. Sting's rendition of Demolition Man, the song, playing all around you, is a more than welcome treat as the credits roll as well. So, for pleasantly surprising us by actually being an adequate science fiction artifact from the 1980s and 90s, as opposed to the also-ran mediocrity we remember it as, balancing a mix of positive character attributes tempered by some truly boorish elements that did not age well. We give the 4K UHD HDR disc of Demolition Man our mixed rating. And so concludes this human version of our review. If you have feedback on it, please write in your comments so that we can upload the galactic version to Zogplex. Now, you can expect more discussions and reviews of theatrical movies, streaming shows, and 4K home video releases as we continue to engage with your human rectangular content. So, please watch, like, subscribe, and comment, so that we can continue to have the human voice reflected in the cosmos. Until next time, humans, farewell.